All right, lick number 2 is a bluesy passage from the song I Know Where I Belong off Joe's first studio record, A New Day Yesterday, from all the way back in the year 2000. This song has some absolutely smoking playing on it. I chose this section of the solo because of some jazzy elements that are mixed in with the great blues phrasing. This particular lick happens at 3 minutes and 34 seconds of the studio recording. On the studio record, I'm sure Joe is tuned down half a step to E flat, so even though he is playing the song in B minor, it sounds like B flat minor if you tune standard. I'm tuned to standard today to make things easy. It's a funky groove in B flat minor, but Joe hints at Dorian within the solo. In the lick that we're going to play, he also substitutes an A major triad, so I get the feeling he's thinking a couple of different sounds. So he's playing Dorian, he'd be going from B minor to E. And when he's subbing that A triad, I think he's hearing B minor to A. So what can we learn from this lick? One, how to seamlessly execute position shifts between different pentatonic patterns and different arpeggio shapes. Two, how to superimpose arpeggios while playing the blues. And three, how to string together shorter blues licks to create longer flowing lines. Here's the lick over a backing track. So there's a lot going on with this lick. What you really need to have on your fingers to play it are two arpeggio shapes and B minor pentatonic. First arpeggio is B minor with the root at the 14th fret of the A string. A major with the root at the 12th fret of the A string. And then B minor pentatonic, pattern 1. And some phrasing techniques we're going to get into. So the lick starts off with a blues rock cliche. It's a unison bend. You're bending the 10th fret of the B string. The A note, you're bending it to B to match the B at the 7th fret of the E string. And then you're going to the F sharp of the 7th fret of the B string. That's how we start off. After that, opening lick, we grab the C sharp at the 9th fret of the E, bend it up to D and release it. Hit the B note at the 7th fret of the E string. We play A at the 10th fret of the B string. Then we grab the E at the 9th fret of the G string. So actually we're playing around that A triad already. We end that first part of the lick by playing F sharp, A, B at the 7th fret of the E string, and back to the F sharp. So the opening lick sounds like this. Next part of the lick, he shifts seamlessly up to that B minor arpeggio position with the root at the 14th fret of the A string. He plays D, E, and F sharp. Now the D and the F sharp are chord tones. He's adding that E note in to make some melody. He also executes, after those first three notes, a cool little grace note slide from E to F. Then plays the D note, B note, and F sharp. Sounds like this. He then repeats the D note and the B note. So we've got, so that's right out of that B minor arpeggio, with the added E note for some color. From there, he goes into an A major triad which is kind of at the 9th fret, the root's at the 12th fret of the A string. He plays C sharp, D, E, executes a little grace note slide from C to C sharp, then plays the A note and an E note. E note's at the 9th fret of the G string, so we've got put the whole thing together. So we've really got that B minor triad, A major triad thing going. Very cool substitution. He also could have used, if he wanted to, F sharp minor, which is the relative minor of A, before going into the B minor pentatonic. Cool sound. So I hope you're starting to get a feeling about how all these parts fit together. He starts off with a sort of Chuck Berry lick, outlines an A major triad, plays a little blues lick, shifts up to that B minor, plays A major triad. Now the next part of the lick is more of a standard blues lick. He shifts back down to the B minor pentatonic pattern 1 at the 7th fret. He then plays D and E, hits the E again, does a grace note slide back down to the D. Then he plays a double stop at the 9th fret of the G and B strings before hitting the B note at the 9th fret of the D string, and then the D note again at the 7th fret of the G string. Sounds like. Then he plays unison bend. He bends the E at the 9th fret of the G string up to F sharp. He plays F sharp at the 7th fret of the B string. Then we go back to that Chuck Berry type lick that we started with. Play that 4 times. So that's our unison bend of the A note up to B on the B string at the 10th fret, the 7th fret of the E string, which is B, and then F sharp at the 7th fret of the B string. Play that 4 times. We're going to end the lick. He slides up, to my ear anyway, to the 15th fret of the B string and bends that up a whole step. So he's bending a D to an E, gives that some vibrato, does the bend again, but when he lets off of it this time, you'll hear that he doesn't go, he does go all the way back to the D, but then he bends it up a semitone, which is super bluesy. So it sounds like this. And then plays the B note at the 12th fret of the B string. So the whole lick, we put it together, sounds like this. So again, lots of different parts, lots of different pieces, but it all flows together in this seamless package. There's just this great, longer, bluesy lick. So this lick has some great blues phrasing. He uses triads to outline chord changes. He shifts seamlessly between scale and arpeggio positions. It's really worth going back and checking out this tune. There's other parts of it that are even more smoking. And there are some wicked live versions on YouTube, of course. Check them out. Our third and final lick today is a beautiful gospel blues in 6/8, going back to the live from the Royal Albert Hall record. It's a song called Asking Around for You. Now this lick happens at 4 minutes and 3 seconds into the song. It's surrounded by beautiful bluesy phrasing with lots of big slow bends. And from out of nowhere explodes this fast arpeggiated alternate pick lick that hits you like a machine gun, and then he goes back into some beautiful bluesy phrasing again. So it's a great example of how to set up a fast technical passage inside of a more lush, beautiful type sound. What can we learn from this lick? First of all, how to sound creative using arpeggios. So many players play arpeggios just straight up and down, and frankly, that's lame. Secondly, how to change a note or two within the pentatonic scale to get an entirely different tonality, almost a modal type sound. Lastly, and I've used this phrase before, but how shifting gears within a phrase and from phrase to phrase really gives a lick power and really draws the listener in and creates tension and dynamics in the music. Check out this lick with a backing track, and let's get into the breakdown. This lick takes place over a measure of a G chord and a measure of an E minor chord. The lick starts out on the sort of the upbeat of the first beat, so there's a eighth note rest, and then he plays straight up this G major triad arpeggio. So he plays at the 17th fret, G on the D string, B at the 16th fret of the G string, D at the 15th fret of the B string, and then G at the 15th fret of the high E. Takes a 16th note rest and then plays B at the 19th fret, goes back down the arpeggio, plays the G, D, B, G, plays D at the 17th fret of the A string before playing the C at the 15th fret of the A string. So that's the first part of the lick. Then he ascends through G major pentatonic, the first position. He plays B and D at the 14th and 17th frets of the A string. He plays E and G at the 14th and 17th frets of the D string. Now, normally, if we're playing G major pentatonic, we would play A at the 14th fret and then B at the 16th fret of the G string. He alters that pentatonic slightly. He plays that sus4. Instead of the A, he plays a B and a C. So he plays the B at the 16th fret and C at the 17th fret. So instead of the normal pentatonic sound, which would be this, he plays this. Again, gets that sus. He again gets that sus4 sound, which is something we've heard in a gazillion songs all over the place. Very cool. So after playing the B and the C on the G string, he plays D and E at 15 and 17 on the B string, and he ends the ascending run by playing an F sharp at the 14th fret of the E string and a D at the 17th fret of the E string, which are two notes of the D major triad that comes next. So the first part of the lick sounds like this. From a phrasing standpoint, it's important to note that as he begins the ascending pentatonic run, he palm mutes the first four notes. So he palm mutes the B, the D, the E, and the G. And then plays cleanly on the rest of the ascending run. So kind of a neat effect, and it really gives the impression that as he gets into those cleaner notes that he's sort of speeding up, which actually I think he is. I think he's employing what's called rubato playing, where you don't pay strict attention to the time. So he's kind of pushing within the context of the band, keeping very strict time. Again, giving that feeling, that impression that he's sort of shifting gears and speeding up, creating momentum. So as we descend, we're playing a D major triad. So we follow our ascending run with an A note at the 17th fret, F sharp at the 14th fret of the high E, D at the 15th fret of the B string, A at the 14th fret of the G string, and then he adds another sus4. He plays a G note at the 17th fret of the D string, then he plays F sharp, A, and D on the D string, G string, and B string. When he hits that D, he slides out of it into an E note. So he's resolving to that E minor chord. So that part of the lick sounds like. Going to play the ascending run into the D major triad. And that's how the lick ends, and then it goes back into more soulful, slow, bluesy bending. Really cool stuff. Now, it's a real takeaway that he plays both G major arpeggio and a D major arpeggio over the G chord. So once again, he's implying this G sus4, and then D sus4 to E minor, while the rest of the band is actually playing very strict G to E minor. So it's kind of a cool lesson in superimposition. And then I also think it's extremely important to add color to arpeggios, add another note, add some sort of phrasing technique in the middle. You know, so many players, they just go straight up and down an arpeggio, and it's kind of a sign to me that they're not really thinking, they're not trying to be creative, they're just trying to play some proper notes and move on to the next chord. So I think that's a great lesson in and of itself. When you have an arpeggio idea, what can you do to color it, to enhance it? Another great learning point is at the climactic part of the lick. He starts out palm muting, then he picks cleanly, and then to my ears he changes subdivisions and actually speeds up his own personal tempo a little bit to once again create that snowball rolling downhill effect, adding momentum to the phrase. And then the last thing that I would again note is how it's sandwiched between slow, bluesy, beautiful phrasing. And it just makes it that much more dramatic when he does do some fast picking. Here's the whole lick played slowly. I hope you enjoyed this little peek into some of Joe Bonamassa's playing. He's got a lot to say as a player, and it goes way beyond flashy pentatonic runs. Oh, don't hate him just because he's got a truckload full of 1959 Les Pauls. Thanks for checking out the video. Thanks for coming to the channel. Please like and subscribe. You keep practicing. I'm going to keep making videos that are going to help you make sense of soloing. See you next time.